All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Chart Request Live. If you're just joining us, it's the show where you guys bring the tickers. We chart it out for you. My name's Patrick Dunawilla. I'm the editor of the Chart Report. Joining me today is none other than Sam Gatlin. Sam, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good. Halloween special chart request live.
That's true. That's true. I
Welcome.
almost forgot. Halloween special. Yeah. And quite a spooky day in the markets, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Some nasty earnings reactions. Let's see if they come out and buy them in the coming days. That's what really has my attention with something like a Microsoft.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we still haven't heard from Apple or Amazon yet, but so far, what was it? Microsoft and who else reported?
Google as well.
Microsoft and Google, yeah. So far, I mean, that 400 level really needs to hold. We talk so much about tops that aren't tops, but sometimes tops can be tops. So,
And this
um,
would be a big one,
yeah.
one of the largest corporations in the world.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But we'll see how it holds. I mean, obviously, tons of data to get through in the next couple days, next couple weeks. So,
Yeah, so this Patrick, this setup reminds me of NVIDIA. When was this NVIDIA Head and Shoulders? Was that
yeah, so
last
that was actually
October?
pretty much this time last year. Let's try to find it.
I mean, what if
Um,
that is Microsoft?
Totally
How,
possible.
yeah, how
Totally
big of a
possible.
tailwind would that be for the market?
Yeah, let's take a look. So this is what you're talking about here, right? Like right last October.
Yeah,
And the funny
everybody
thing
was
is
talking about it.
I remember this day right here where it started breaking down. Everyone's like, oh, here we go. There's the top. And then of course for like 11 days straight, it just ripped higher like that and then just kept going and then, at least doubled from there. So anything's possible. Um, a lot to get through. So far, things are like some things are just holding their levels. S&P, it was getting real tight. We could draw a little triangle here, short term, and obviously resolving lower here. Nasty gap there. So we'll see what earnings tomorrow bring.
Yeah, and it's kind of to be expected, right? Some churn before the election. We have this huge binary event coming up.
Yeah.
You shouldn't really expect risk assets to be ripping into that, should you? Like, it's pretty reasonable to just chill
No,
out
no,
here
I
for a
think
few
coming into
days.
this week, knowing that there was probably going to be some volatility, that was the move, right?
Yeah. But we're still seeing animal spirits under the surface.
Absolutely. And
Like
before this, I was just
Peloton.
tightening up my stops, making sure that everything, in case shit does hit the fan. And hey, then you got some cash on the sidelines to buy the dip if it continues dipping.
Totally. Yeah.
But let's dive into the mailbag. Let's kick this right off.
Let's do it. Let's start the day with Chewy.
All right.
CHWY. So this has been a short squeeze darling for some time. A lot of that short interest has come out by now. It's only carrying 9% short interest and 2 days to cover.
Really?
So it's not much of a factor at this point. It was much
Yeah.
more aggressive towards the low though. Like yeah, it was in the 20s for a while.
I think that strength we saw, a few weeks ago, maybe that was a few months ago, rather. Maybe that was a lot of short covering. But
Right.
it did break this trend line, and I think it is in that slow process of reversing and trying to establish a new uptrend. And that's a really slow and messy process. You're going to get plenty of trading opportunities in the meantime, but looks like this one wants to retest its trend line here. There's a million ways you could draw this trend line, so that's not too precise. We prefer horizontal levels, but I would probably get involved on this retest of like down here around 25, 26.
Yeah, that
Uh,
is a good level, and it has been support before.
yeah, and
Look at
maybe
where it
maybe
bounced in 2022, in 2020.
yeah, give yourself some room here. I mean, this has been a pretty important level um, ever since it came public. So one second, let me just turn on the. There you go, so you can see what ticker we're talking about. Um, so yeah, it would retest its trend line. Maybe you don't get all the way down here, but start doing some nibbling, start doing some buying in this like mid 20 area. That would probably be decent. And then if it can't hold like 21, all bets are off. You're wrong. So I don't hate it. I mean, it's at least you have your risk kind of well defined with that 20 level there. But it
Yeah,
needs
so
to
can we get more
be
tactical with this, Patrick? Could you like zoom in on the daily
yeah,
candlestick and
sure,
like
sure.
show that ripper and then drop a whop from that pivot high?
Oh
Maybe
man, from that.
that's a
What
good
was this? Was
tactical
this
level to
earnings
trade
or
against.
was that earnings or what?
Uh,
Oh wow, not
I
even.
don't know. There was that one day when I think there was some Ryan Cohen
Uh,
shenanigans. I forget what it was.
Ryan Cohen shenanigans.
Yeah, if you can
So
imagine that.
yeah, here we are trying to reclaim it here. Nice day here though. Um, and also kind of notable that it's showing strength in a weak tape like that. Oops, sorry about that. So it's going for that VWAP. I think you could try it above there too. And if you're doing real tactical, if you're buying that breakout, then you want to place a stop a little closer, probably around these lows of the last couple days, around 26 here. So that's if you're getting a little shorter term. But if you wanted to start accumulating a position, if you're more of a swing trader, then you're looking for kind of a deeper pullback towards this level. And I'm going to move this up a little bit
Yeah,
around here,
that's fair.
around this 25 level.
Because that's really what you wanted against is that pivot high from was that late 2023, early 2024?
Right, right. But it is definitely notable that it's showing that today. Not sure why, if there's some sort of news or something, but it definitely looks like we're pretty far away from earnings and yeah, on this one.
It's in the middle of a range. Just
Yeah,
let it dance.
yeah.
You want to move on?
Yeah, what do you got next?
Let's look at CHRD. So this is Chord Energy, an oil and gas exploration and production company. It's almost $8 billion now.
Looks like I had it marked up before here. Nasty fail breakout.
Right, right.
You can see that. Boom. And this is an ascending triangle. Ascending triangles are like probably the most bullish pattern in my opinion, one of them, other than like bases, things like that. But when you have a bullish pattern that doesn't resolve in the direction it should, I mean, you should really pay attention. So the fact that this didn't resolve like that to me, yeah, it's tough to make me want to buy this one, at least from a longer term. Let's take a look a little more tactical.
Yeah, and I also like to look at this one on a relative basis, Patrick, given we've seen some weakness from energy recently.
Yeah.
Like you have something like crack. Like this looks an awful lot like that crack chart. These have been the leaders in energy, but are really taking it on the chin, making new
Oh my
52-week
gosh, yeah, look at
lows,
this. Look at
getting
this.
extremely oversold. And this looks really bad.
Miners have just been whacked.
This is the leader of the energy space too, Patrick.
No way, really?
Yes, crack. The oil refiners. Like look at
Oh god,
Phillips
that's the
66,
leader.
Marathon
This is
Petroleum.
the leader. This is what leadership looks like. Whew.
Not a good sector.
Sorry, what was the ticker again? CHRD?
Yeah, Chord Energy.
Yeah, I mean, the nicest thing I can say about this thing is this bullish divergence here, but I don't like to lean on divergences like that for a trade. I mean, those things can last for quite a while. We could have said it was diverging here. We could have said it was diverging here. So it's tough. And
Right. Maybe it's more of a signal to like cover your shorts if that was
yeah,
like the
I mean, and
downside
you're coming
momentum
right
was
into
losing steam.
earnings. You're coming right into earnings. I think I'd rather wait and see how it reacts to earnings, and then maybe you can lean on the divergence more. But if it's continuing to make new lows like that, you can't get too excited about a divergence because it can keep making new lows, and RSI can keep not making new lows, but it doesn't matter. Only price pays, right? So
But we do want momentum behind our moves. Like
we do, and
it
right
does
now
kind of raise a question mark of is this downside move almost done? Are we going to hold this former support level, that 2023 low? Is that where we're going to stop going down? That's kind of the way I think about it.
you could definitely find support in this 120 area, but for me, it's just it's a no-go until this gets repaired. I mean, there's so many other bullish setups out there that I would be looking to place strength in. Also, energy just hasn't been a leader, so.
But I think it comes down to time frames too, Patrick. Like energy has been the best performing sector since COVID.
Yeah.
So over that time frame, it's a leader, but over like the last 2 years, it's gone absolutely nowhere, and it's been a terrible place to have your money. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
so what if we have another leg higher, I guess, is the question in my mind with energy. It doesn't seem to
Yeah.
be happening anytime soon, though. So let's move on to Nick's request. Nick wants to know if VFC or Shake Shack look better.
Oh, so VFC, I really like VFC here. I was just looking at this one. They just had earnings a few days ago. Broke out of this nice little rounded bottom here. You can see I already marked up. But this one's been in a downtrend for quite a while, trying to establish a new uptrend. Obviously, a slow process, but this $20 level, pretty important here. We cleared it. If we can hold it, then you're looking at this 30 level as your next resistance. But ultimately, that's probably more of just like a speed bump on the way to this 45 level, which is kind of a bigger, kind of more important target and resistance levels. That former support from 2017, again in 2020. So this one, but definitely a nice post earnings move here. You can see gapped higher through that resistance level and continued higher yesterday. Yeah, it's coming down a little here, but maybe that's giving you a chance to get involved in this $20 level. But I like this one.
Me too, Patrick. That's a nice big base.
Yeah.
It is kind of a loser though over longer time frames. Like it has resolved lower from that massive top. Um, but I think that's interesting about like these apparel manufacturing companies. Like they can look like they're zeros, and then they can come up with some new product and come roaring back.
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean, you get to a
this is
point too where
interesting.
sellers just get exhausted. I mean, it's
Yeah,
been through the downtrend and now it's trying to reverse, right? If we reverse this, if we inverted it, this would look like a massive top here that's breaking down. So, um, yeah, I
right.
mean, slow process. It's probably gonna go to 30, then back down to 20 before it gets up to 45. But I think the reversal's on, and the bottom is kind of forming here. So,
For sure. And that bullish tag on the RSI, that also
yeah,
speaks to
good
the
point.
bulls taking control here, to
Good
me at
point.
least.
Yeah. Um, hasn't been oversold in over a year like that, and now we're
Right.
getting overbought. So
Right. And look
it's
where we bounced too. Like we're bouncing at that
right.
50 level on the RSI. Like that's textbook in an uptrend.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Holding on to that bullish range now,
Yeah. So
establishing, and this is weekly RSI too, so that's
yeah,
um,
yeah. Longer time
showing
frame.
momentum. Yeah,
So Nick wanted to compare this
yeah.
to Shake Shack. So let's check that one out.
Oh, Shake Shack. You been to Shake Shack?
I've been one time at an airport and it was fine, but I was not all that impressed, I guess.
Yeah. So made it all the way back to its former highs. Typically, when it does this, I mean, that's very constructive, but I think it probably needs a period of consolidation before it ultimately breaks that. I mean, it was a long journey to get here, but really nice breakout in the last few days here. I mean, that's a nice breakaway gap. I think you'll probably see a little bit of consolidation before it busts through that. Maybe you'll get the retest here. If you do, I think that's a viable retest. But here, let me actually move this down a little bit. But yeah, I mean that's a nice textbook breakout right into resistance here, and yeah, I mean that should be expected, right? First time
Yeah,
we're testing
nasty upper
these
shadow there.
guys.
That's
Yeah, yeah. But this, I think you kind of have two competing things, right? You have this overhead supply, but then you have this really nice bullish head and shoulders that it's resolving from. And I think that they'll kind of neutralize each other in the short term, but
Yeah.
ultimately I think this one wins. I think this ultimately will resolve higher. And that's when the party really starts, right? Because let's zoom out after this. Hold on. So if you can
Big
kind of
base. Wow.
yeah, consolidate here at those former highs. Then we're talking a nice massive 3-year base. And then you're talking uh, 200 as your target there. So
I
if we
like
can
the
get
shack.
above,
This looks really
yeah,
nice.
yeah, if we can get above that 140, probably needs a little bit more time. Might be a 2025 thing, but this is really constructive that it broke out of this Head and Shoulders. It had been trying to do that all year, been building that pattern right below the former highs. Maybe it does get it done. You know, the fact that we built such a long consolidation right underneath it, maybe it did absorb all that supply. But um, once it clears 140, or you could even jump at 138-ish, that's when the party really starts.
This chart reminds me of Uber. Like overlay this with Uber. Is this not
Yeah,
the exact same chart before Uber broke out?
yeah,
Oh, overlay
yeah,
the two. Don't change it.
yeah. Um,
So I think that's the roadmap here is you get the breakout, you get the retest, and then you continue higher.
yeah.
Is that what this pattern looks like 6 months from now?
It could be. It probably won't play out exactly like Uber, but definitely a similar story there. Similar base breakout. Um, and also like kind of just the first time it's clearing those 2021 highs. Yeah, I could see it.
Right. There's probably a lot of dead bodies up there
Yeah.
for sure.
What do we
So
got next?
I guess the question is, which one do you like more? VFC or the Shack?
I think definitely depends on time frame, but
Yeah, Nick did not include a time frame. So let's
uh,
say 3 to 6 months.
I think I'd go with the VFC here. I think the Shack, I think the move probably, the short-term move's probably in. I think probably needs to consolidate a little bit here. Like I said, with the Shack, I would rather wait for to buy that longer-term breakout. Definitely looks like it's shaping up and wants to build that base, complete it, and resolve higher. But that could be, it could be at least 3 months before it's ready to do that. So
Yeah,
if I'm
good
going
things take
short
time.
term, then I'll go with the VFC here.
Cool. I like it. I think I'd have to agree with you.
Yeah.
Cool. Then let's hit up the chat. We've got Kevin in the chat wanting to look at gold miners. Let's look at the GDX chart. So this is the big boys in the gold mining industry. And you've
Yeah.
got Newmont at the biggest weight. It's 12.25%. And Agnico is 10%. And then Barrick is 8%. Wheaton Precious, 7%.
Yeah. Struggling at the former highs here a little bit, and probably going to need some consolidation here, a few weeks. But once you get over that 43, 44 level in GDX, then the party's on. 60 looks like your first target for that. Uh, that's not an all-time high if we zoom out. 60 coincides with those 2011 highs. So again, that's when the party really starts too. But this one definitely looks like it will resolve higher, just a matter of time. But in the short term, this is a little ugly. You could see further deterioration just in the short term as we kind of absorb that overhead supply at those former highs here. But this one, yeah, I mean, gold
Yeah, we got to look at
itself
gold if we're
on
talking about gold miners.
right. Gold itself on quite a run, but still looks like it's going to that next target there, up near 3,000, above 3,000. So, um, yeah, I mean, gold's giving you the green light here with the miners. They just haven't gone yet. I'm surprised.
Yeah, well, you
Uh,
talked about silver. I think that's a really interesting chart right now. I think that speaks to the space and like this GDX chart struggling to get started here.
yeah, in
Silver
fact,
is the same story. It's just really
right.
taking a long time to get started.
Yeah, silver
Like we're
looks very
resolving these
similar.
big bases, but let's just go already. Stop
Right.
dancing around
Silver
here.
looks very similar to these to the gold miners in this one. It's silver, it's just a heartbreaking story. It's been a tough one to own that. It seems like every time people write it off, then it starts moving, and then every time it breaks out, then it just consolidates for a few more weeks and pulls back. So it's tough. I think this one you'll probably get a pull back to this 2950 level or 29.
It
Um,
seems like this one consolidates like 99% of the time and then just
right,
explodes higher,
right.
1%.
But with GDX, yeah, if it's above 44, looks good to 60, but needs some time here. It's battling with that overhead supply. Um, just can't get it done. But when it does, Good things take time, as you said, right?
That's right. And let's look at, yeah. Okay, cool. So keep talking about this 1 second, Patrick.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at the big boys while we're resolving this technical issue here. So this is what I'm watching, at least in the major indexes, at least. You got this ascending triangle pattern here in the Qs, resolving lower here, not a good look. But if good earnings come out tomorrow, we enter back in that. I would call that a false move, and that would be uber bullish. Ultimately, we got to break that 500 level in the Qs, which is the 161 extension of the bear market decline here. And also those July highs. We hit it in July, corrected about 13% or something in the NASDAQ. And here we are, finding some overhead supply here at those former highs.
That's a big level. 500. It's a psychological level plus the Fibonacci.
I know, right? There's a lot of things going on there to make it an important level. So,
for sure. We've got V Alpha in the chat. You want to look at Riot? You want to look at some Bitcoin miners? We haven't talked about Bitcoin this entire time. I'm amazed we made it this long.
I haven't been dabbling with the miners too much, but for that move we saw in Bitcoin this week, they really not too impressive, huh?
No, definitely not. No, I like to look at something like WGMI, the Bitcoin miner ETF, relative to Bitcoin itself. Like, should I be leaning on these miners? Is there extra juice here? And for some time now, it hasn't really been the case that you want to lean into these miners. Owning Bitcoin has been the move.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And this one, I mean, I have it marked up here. Looks like it resolved lower here and then found some resistance here at that old trend line. Ultimately, this is your level here, the $9 level. If it can hold it, then decent here. But if it gets below there, I don't think there's any reason to touch this thing.
Yeah,
it could go much lower because
doesn't this just say that something's wrong with this company? Like, you've got Bitcoin about to break out the new all-time highs, and this one's about to resolve a big distribution pattern. Like, new 52-week lows. What is wrong with this stock?
Yeah, and here we're looking at the miner ETF. Do you know what the components are in here, Sam?
Yeah, I can tell you. And this is what a Bitcoin miner should look like if you're wanting to buy one. It shouldn't look like Riot.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the biggest holding in here is Iris Energy. That's about 15%. Then you have Core Scientific, the best Bitcoin miner, about 14%.
There we go. Here's some relative strength, right?
Yeah. Cores is the same chart. Like, those are really strong stocks. Something like Riot.
What is the ticker for Iris? IREN?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Never mind. Take that back.
Look at Cores, though, Patrick.
CORZ?
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like that wasn't a top, right?
Yeah. This is what I want to own if I'm buying a Bitcoin miner.
Yeah. Definitely showing relative strength here. Where would you look for a target on this one?
I think I would fib out that original base. So we stopped there at 1175. We've really been respecting these levels. So why wouldn't we respect?
That's where the head and shoulders form,
exactly.
Right between these two fibs. So 17
and a quarter. Yeah, that's
17 and a quarter is next. I like it. The way James Bartoloni described Fibonacci to me is he described this as the rock hitting the water, and these are the ripples that extend out of it, right?
I totally agree. I think that's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody really understands Fibonacci. I've never heard anybody be able to describe it well, but seen it so many times to where you're just like, okay, there's something going on here. So,
yeah.
Looks like 17 and a quarter for Core Scientific.
Yeah, and love the Core Scientific
within the space. So if you're going to dabble, if you're looking at Riot, this is probably the move, right?
Right.
How would you get into it on a tactical basis? You wait
I think I
for it
would
to
buy
retest.
yeah, if you drop a WAP from that all-time high, I would buy this on strength above there, and then
And
try
then
to ride it higher towards that 17 target.
yeah,
Kind of how I would do it. There's not really a continuation pattern you can buy into here, or it hasn't shaped up yet. So it's tricky to get into uptrends like this, but I think
yeah,
the VWAP anchor to that high is a good way to do it.
it gives you a decent way, yeah. And then just trail it with a stop or with a VWAP, right? You could trail it with a VWAP
Right.
from the low.
Yeah. A lot of good ways to do that. Let's move on to Eli Lilly. This one
Ooh,
I think is a problem. I think this one
I
is
do too.
vulnerable to more downside.
We got to zoom all the way out on this one.
I
I wrote about
really,
this one.
the way I see this is my one of my favorite long-term momentum indicators is like the monthly MACD or the monthly PPO. Both of those have crossed to the downside for Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, the big GLP-1 pharma companies. Um, Plus, you're running into that big extension level. You've seen the stock respect those extension levels before. I think there's a confluence of factors that lead me to suspect there's more downside to this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said it. I was writing about this one in the top 10 report because this was a big earnings. It's not a magnificent seven, but it might as well be because
Yeah, might as well be, right?
it's big and it's the largest healthcare stock too. And it has been respecting those fibs, and that's why you got to leave them on there. And Sam, I can't remember the last time I talked about the 1109 fib extension.
Hey, it's a good
I
one.
actually I had to calculate this one by hand and throw it on because I don't normally, you don't normally go up that many. But I mean, so it's been an incredible run, bottom line, for this one. Resolved out of a 20-year base before COVID and just absolutely ran. So is the trend over? Maybe. I mean, not yet. Is this some sort of long-term top? Maybe. But I think you got to be looking towards support all the way down at 600. And that's
That's
quite
what
a,
I think is, yeah,
yeah,
that's a very logical pullback. I don't know. There's not enough evidence to say that this long-term trend is over by any means, but
right.
I think over the next 3 to 6 months, this one needs to cool down.
Right. And then we're talking about a really long-term breakout, right? So we could spend all 2025 testing this 600 and it would still maybe be, it's still in an uptrend. It's not making a lower low yet, but you could consolidate here for all year and then, 2026 we're back here and then ultimately we're talking 2027 up here. So I think the momentum is probably to the downside on this one now. It's
Yeah,
been an incredible run. I think there was probably a lot of FOMO in this one earlier this year, but I don't think you
a
want to be
little
looking.
bit. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, yeah, I
This is
don't
one
think
of
you
the
want to be
frothiest
buying.
places in the market, right?
Right, yeah. I don't think you want to be buying the dip here. Not yet.
No. And I think this is an interesting thing about multiple time frames is like we're talking about this one potentially turning sideways or going lower for 6 to 12 months, potentially in the context of a long-term massive uptrend. And this one is on its way to becoming $1 trillion stock, potentially joining the Max 7. Like you
Yeah,
just put it in context, I guess, is what I'm saying.
absolutely. Yeah. And it could fall another 30%. I mean, that's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for a 30%
Right.
haircut. And it would still be in an uptrend. So it kind of does speak to that strength too, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Cool. Let's look at CCJ for Brian Harris. This is one of my favorite charts in the market. This is an
Yeah,
exciting
talk
one.
about heartbreaking trades, right? As far uranium's been a tough one to own. I hope it'll reward those people who've stuck with it. That's
It
how,
seems like it, Patrick. Like the tide is turning for nuclear. Like you've got these big tech companies with trillions of dollars of market cap behind them getting involved in this industry.
right. Yeah, we've seen in this year, it's really become sort of that AI story. The two narratives have kind of gotten married. But with this one, I mean, tried to break out in May, couldn't do it. Here, we did break out a few weeks ago. Looking a little sketchy here. It is holding. Maybe we just dig in here a little bit, but I don't think you want to own this thing if it goes below 50.
No.
So it's a nice psychological level. That being said, it is above 50, so let's pretend that it does hold. Um, and as far as targets here, I drew two fibs here, but right around this 87 level um, is where you want to be looking for a target. If it's above 50, 87, it's really that simple. This does concern me, just the fact that we broke out a couple weeks ago, and here we haven't really gotten that follow through that you'd like to see on a breakout.
Totally.
But
And
it
you've
is,
already acknowledged this former high several times too. Like,
yeah,
what was that earlier this year? We acknowledged it twice and then we drew down, tried to make a new 52-week low, and then here we are again at that breakout level.
yeah. I mean, it looks like it doesn't want to, right? I mean, tried to go down today, but I mean,
Right.
it's still down. But
It seems like the market's at a stalemate here.
I like that word, stalemate. Nice chess term.
Yeah. It's the truth though. That's what's going on here.
Yeah, and this is the biggest one.
This is the biggest uranium stock, yes. So you've got URA, which I believe holds, yeah,
I
this
mean,
one has
but
like
this is why I call it a
25%
heartbreaking trade,
CCJ.
right? Because if you're buying this breakout,
Yeah,
I mean, it's like Lucy with the football. It's just every time. Even the last couple of weeks were no different. You got this strong breakout, this strong weekly candle, only to get faded, and here we are retesting it again. So,
does NLR look like this? So that's the equally weighted
I didn't
nuclear.
know there was an equally weighted.
Yeah, and this one also includes some of the big utilities, like Constellation Energy has the
Oh,
largest fleet of nuclear reactors in North America, and it's
oh,
not in the URA, I'm pretty sure, but it is in
interesting.
this nuclear NLR ETF.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Is CCJ, well, I guess if it's
Yeah,
equally weighted,
CCJ is
yeah,
in
it's like,
here as well. So CCJ is the second biggest weight at 7%, and then you have Constellation at close to 9%. You have 27 total stocks in here.
interesting.
Yeah,
Got this momentum divergence. Might retest. Maybe that's where you get involved, right? This 80, 81, 82 level.
right.
I don't know if anyone's trading this thing though.
Yeah, no, I think
Doesn't look very liquid.
this is good information,
Yeah,
not a trading vehicle.
yeah, good point. It's not as liquid as I. Oh no, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah. What else we got?
Yeah, let's look at SMR. I like SMR, and that's probably the highest beta nuclear stock. So if you're looking for some juice, I think this one's an interesting one to try to get involved with. I think you definitely
SMR.
want it against that prior cycle high, but that's not really possible at the moment. So how can we get into
Is
this
this
one,
a
Patrick?
SPAC or something? What's
Yeah, yeah. So this
interesting?
is, yeah, they're like making the nuclear reactors,
Uh,
not mining it like a CCJ.
okay. Good progress in these last few weeks, but might correct the move. But and that's totally fine. That's what you want. That's where you get involved at 15 or 16.
You think you
Uh,
get another opportunity to buy at 16?
I think you will. I mean, you got this little divergence, bearish divergence, but it's just correcting a really strong move. So I think it's a viable pullback, viable retest if you get it, and it might not go all the way down, right? It might
Right,
not get you all the way to 15. Might get you more um, there, but yeah, no, the breakout's totally on this one. I like this.
for sure.
What is
No, these
this?
are really exciting stocks. I think these are new secular trends.
This
Oh,
is nuclear still.
yeah.
Oh,
So this
yeah.
is like the picks. Or they're like actually making the nuclear reactors. Then you have CCJ, who's like digging the uranium out of the ground, and then
Oh, okay.
EWXT, pull that one up. This one,
They make the piping, right? Or something like
well,
that.
they're doing like stuff for submarines, like with the U.S. government, and like
What?
you got a bunch of nuclear stuff going on with these submarines, and it takes some expertise.
Yeah,
So
this
these
one's
guys
been
are
a
doing
real
that, and
winner.
this is the leader in the space. This is probably the best one.
Yeah. Um, just resolving out of bullish pattern after bullish pattern after bullish pattern, and looks like it's coming close to that target here. Um, but definitely something
Could be a good
interesting.
time to feed the ducks.
Yeah, when it
That's
gets
fun
up. Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. What else? Anything else?
Yeah, are you ready to leave it here? I think
Yeah, we
that's
can leave it here for the day.
yeah.
Do you have any favorites?
I like the GDX. I appreciate the precious metal talk on here. CCJ is probably my favorite though.
When it comes to precious metals, nobody knows as much as you. You've been doing a great job with the gold report. Always
Thank you.
finding
It's a lot of
you.
fun. These stocks can move a lot. Like I come in
Yeah.
here every week and I have a stock up like 50% or something crazy.
Any interesting ones you want to take a look at real quick before we go?
Mag, I believe.
Ooh, Mag has been showing up all over the buzz, so this is interesting. Uh,
And it goes along with that silver theme. Like if you overlaid this with silver, like this one should be a kind of toward closer to that prior cycle high. Like if this really is a silver derivative. So maybe there's a catch-up trade here
I
with a lot
see.
of beta.
How do you think about how I marked it up here? I don't know when I did this, but
No, I
you
don't hate
seen it the
this. I think
same
that's
thing?
the level to buy against, that 16,
Yeah.
17 range. You want that prior cycle high first, and then I think you want to break out with some more upside also.
Like it. Mine today has to be probably VSC. I
Yeah, love that
really
one.
like that candle for this week. Just above 20 looks good to 30. Could be just a really messy process, but I think you can get to 30 on this leg higher for sure. Did we check short interest on this one? What's that?
Let me check it real fast. It is 12% with 6 days to cover. So not
Oh,
bad.
nothing. Oh,
Six
not
days to
bad.
cover, more than a week.
What do you make of that? The days to cover part?
I think that's more important than the short interest, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
but is 6 days to cover sufficient? Do you like to see that? Would you
Yeah,
like to
I
see
think anything over a week is
anything
interesting
over
to
the
me.
week? Okay, very cool. All right, well, let's leave it here for today. We're doing it again on Monday. If
Yeah.
it's not myself, then it's Alfonso or Sam. But be sure to email us at questions@stockmarketmedia.com. Shoot us your tickers, and we'll be sure to break them down. Other than that, have a great weekend. Thanks.
And happy Halloween.
And happy Halloween. Yes.